Mending your clothes to keep them in use for longer is a vital part of sewing and living more sustainably. But how can we amplify the positive impact of mending our clothes? The answer? By mending them in public. By mending in public, not only are you reducing the carbon footprint and the water footprint of your clothing, but you're helping to normalise these actions for other people. On the 20th of April 2024, hundreds of mending in public events took place around the globe, the endeavour having been initiated by Fashion Revolution movement in collaboration with the street stitching movement. I attended an event hosted by Diana Uprichard, owner of Dolly Clothing in Lewes, East Sussex, and I got to see firsthand the positivity and the power of mending in public. So in this episode, you'll hear from 5 different people that I spoke to at the event, each with their own unique angle on why it's so meaningful. And at the end, I set you a little challenge, so stick around a few minutes for that. Welcome to Check Your Thread, the podcast that will help you sew more sustainably. My name's Zoe and I'm obsessed with sewing. I've been blogging about it for over 15 years and I'm the creator and host of the popular handmade wardrobe challenge Me Made May. But, like many people, I've become increasingly concerned about the climate crisis and I'm looking at the way that my lifestyle contributes to it. So in this podcast, I'll be nerding out about making clothes whilst exploring how to minimise the negative impact that it may have, and I really hope you'll join me in this journey. How's it going, lovely one? Are you doing okay? So today's episode is the second in the 4-part mini-series on mending, and I'm wondering if you've been inspired so far to tackle your mending pile. So I definitely noticed that after the winter of care repair drew to a close, that my mending pile was being somewhat ignored. So I've enjoyed having the nudge to tackle some items and get them back in use, and I'm wondering if you have too. Right, so a sustainability win that I can claim over the last couple of weeks is sharing unwanted items via the Olio app. Obviously, it needn't be the Olio app that's used. It could be your local Buy Nothing group or FreeCycle or basically any other avenue for sharing unwanted items. For me, I find the Olio app is the easiest, as there's quite a lot of users of it in my area. Plus, it means I don't have to get involved in Facebook, which I really dislike using. Anyway, over the last couple of weeks, I've got rid of some card games that my kids have grown out of, a winter coat that my daughter grew out of, a faux fur jacket that I've had since the early 2000s, and if I'd taken that to a charity shop, it probably would have been chucked because it had a bit of a stain on the lining. I also mended and then gave away a dressing up skirt that my daughter grew out of, and I also gave away some seedlings of plants that I had too many of. So what is awesome about these types of apps, rather than taking things to a charity shop, is that people have to actively claim and then collect the item. So you know that it's going to a home that really wants it. And it means that my home is a tiny little bit less cluttered. I can't think of any sustainability fails this week that I can hold my hand up to and learn from. I'm sure there were some though. If you're challenging yourself as part of Me Made May this month, I hope that your first week has gone well. For my pledge, I've been unearthing some new clothing combos and recording the more successful ones on my Me Made May workbook. I've been able to work my new quilted gilet into some outfits, for example, which is really good because I just wasn't sure when I first made it, like how I was going to actually wear it. But then the second outfit that I found for it, I immediately spilt cooking oil down it. But I managed to get that out with some neat washing up liquid before I put it in the laundry. So that was okay. Anyway, whilst I have your attention, I also want to let you know of another challenge taking place in May. So this one is exclusive to Instagram. And it's the Seated Makes Challenge, organised by Lolia and the Wheelie Stitcher on Instagram. So the goal for this is to encourage makers to take photos of their makes in clearly visible seated positions. So this gives people who are wheelchair users or who sit for large portions of the day, it gives them a good idea if the sewing pattern will be suitable and worth making for them. So to find out more about this challenge, including the best practices for taking seated photos, visit the hashtag SeatedMakesChallenge2024. Huge thanks this week goes to Kat, Kelsey, Sarah, Hannah and Roisin, all of whom ever so kindly signed up to support the podcast in the last 7 days. It is no lie when I say that I couldn't make this podcast without the support of patrons. I spend approximately 20 hours a week working on the podcast, and if it wasn't for the financial help to cover the costs of putting it together and for covering some of my bills, I'd have to go and spend that 20 hours doing some paid work elsewhere. So massive thanks to you lovely peeps for keeping this afloat. So if you're interested in supporting the podcast and possibly joining us for some of the mending meetups that take place via Zoom, then you can sign up via the link in the show notes that's on your podcast app right now, or via the website checkyourthread.com. You can sign up for literally any amount that you are able. As a guide, a popular amount is around the price of a cup of coffee. I'm about to schedule the Mending meetups for May, so join up in the next week or so to have access to those. Right, on to today's episode. I really love making these out and about episodes. I love the different energy that they bring. So I also know that many of you love episodes that connect to community. So hopefully you'll get a lot from this one. I've included quite a few pics that were taken at the event in the show notes that you can see on the website checkyourthread.com. So go and visit those to get a better vibe of what it was like. So until next week, take care of yourself. And if you post pictures of your makes on Instagram, start taking seated photos and using the hashtag #SownShownSeated and enjoy! In this episode, you're going to hear 5 recordings I made at the event, plus my conclusion at the end. The 5 recordings each feature a different individual that I spoke to on the day. Each of them, obviously, were bringing their own perspective to the event, and it was really interesting to explore that a little bit with each of them. So first up, you'll hear from Diana Uprichard, the host of the event. Diana is a sewing professional, alterations expert and educator who owns the sewing space Dolly Clothing where the event took place. Then you'll hear from Melissa, a participant at the event who came down to do some mending. Melissa is not a garment sewer, but a very creative person whose interest in mending has gone hand in hand with a desire to slow down consumption of new clothing. Next, you'll hear from Mika, who also played a part in the organisation of the event. Mika is a regenerative business consultant with a background in fashion, so Mika was firmly focused on the activism angle of the event, spreading a message of degrowth and the preservation of resources. Then you'll hear my chat with Matthew. So Matthew was a member of the public who was walking past and was just delighted to see people stitching in public. In fact, he even asked if he could take a photo of us. So I took the opportunity to have a chat with him about the consumption and preservation of clothing, and he generously engaged with me on the topic, despite not actually participating in the event itself. And last but very much not least, there's my chat with Sarah. So Sarah is a garment sewer and is already actively trying to reduce the impact of her sewing. Sarah is also a listener of Check Your Thread, and in fact we bumped into each other just last month at the recent Stitch Festival in London. Sarah was there for most of the event, helping others fix their garments, but as you'll hear, wasn't actually doing any mending of her own. So 5 different people, all taking part to some extent or another in the event, coming at it from their own angle and engaging with the idea of mending and garment preservation. Let's go. Hi Diana, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you? Thanks for coming.
Oh, thank you. No, this is so exciting.
Isn't it?
So I've been wanting to come to one of these for a number of years, and it's just for whatever reason stars haven't aligned. So, and then I discovered that you were hosting this one 2 days ago. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to make it. And I'm really excited. So is this the first one that you've hosted?
As in Mending Public Day?
Yeah.
Yes. This is part of Fashion Revolution Week,
Yes.
which is a global charity. So when they suggested this sort of global join-in, Mending Public Day, we were like, well, great, because normally we do, for Fashion Revolution Week, we always do an event.
Oh, what events have you done in the past?
So, well, the most glitteringly brilliant one was the thrift fashion show that we did.
Amazing.
Over at the Depot, which is our local cinema, where we used charity shop clothes, and it just turned into the most amazing event. All the staff at the Depot were models, so it was more than just a thing about second-hand clothes. It was about self-esteem. It was about fun. It was so cool.
That's a lovely
and we were
community
supporting,
thing as well.
and we were supporting the local charity shops, and they, lent us all their clothes, which was amazing. And obviously everyone came to watch. It was lovely. And then we've done, they've sort of picked films like The True Cost, and we've then done a clothes swap. So we've done, clothes swaps is what we usually do during Fashion Revolution Week. Yeah. But this has been great. Mending Public Day, it's been really lovely.
Yeah, so when did you kind of decide, right, we're going to do this? Because
about a month ago, we noticed that they were saying, that today was the day globally to do this.
Yeah.
So we thought that's enough time to kind of do this, and we're launching our hub as well this evening.
Right.
So
explain the hub.
So the hub, we've grown. We're so much more than a shop. So people have always, come in, and they've come and got their alterations and picked them up and dropped them off. But we are, as you beginning to realise we're so much more than a shop, and what we want to promote is a community. And so as a hub, we're beginning to talk about all the other stuff we do, which is our activism, like this, the Mending Public Day, plus the fact that we're now running a lot more courses. So you can learn to sew here, you can keep sewing here, you can learn how to sashiko stitch, darn, all the mending classes, kids classes, or even if you just want to, you can already sew and you want to just sew with other people. We've also got a huge library of books that I've been donated over the years of how, sewing, how to sew, anything to do with sewing. So I want it to be a place where people can just come and be conscious about their clothes. And whether that be come to a talk or like a social. So that is the launch of what the hub is.
Amazing.
Today.
So that's really exciting.
It is, and plus all the sort of outreach work that we've been doing. So we made scrubs during lockdown.
Yeah, I saw that on your website. Yeah.
And so we'd love to do much more of that stuff as well.
Right, so you've kind of created this new aspect to your business, which is kind of open to wherever you want to take it.
Totally. I mean, literally, this morning we've discovered something new that we can do, because Sarah just said, do you do a social sewing club? And I was like, well, we do now. So
what's that? Scribble.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so now we're going to be meeting on Thursdays once a month at there's a local community centre, which we're going to see if they would like us to go and sew there.
Amazing.
I know, so it's lovely how everything evolves, doesn't it? And I think that's what we've done as a conscious clothing hub.
Yeah.
We just evolve to whatever people want, because I also sell my kits, which are a kind of a vessel, if you like. My mission is to get everyone sewing, because if you can sew, you can keep your clothes, you can mend your clothes, and you will also think twice about buying fast fashion, because when you know how long it takes to sew something, it's so hard to buy a t-shirt for $2.99.
Yeah.
When you just think, how can anyone make it, for that much money? So sewing is the key. And the kits they're made out of dead stock fabric in the first place. They're pre-cut, and they have everything in the bag that you need, plus a free video tutorial that I've made to basically, it's just the easiest way to just learn how to sew. So a lot of the classes are also based on making one of those up.
Great. So people can come and do it in the flesh if they prefer, or if they're happy to take it home and crack on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you're here.
Exactly.
You get stuck, I guess.
I do one-to-ones as well, which have been going really well, because it's not, sometimes you might have something really specific that you can't, there's no class for it.
Yeah.
And that's actually been really popular, and it's also kind of like a treat to yourself, isn't it?
It really is. Just having that time blocked. Right, this is what we're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's on the calendar. It's going to happen.
It's happening.
Yeah. Amazing. This is so exciting.
Yeah.
Back to mending specifically. Like, what's your relationship with mending like?
I just can't throw anything away. I literally, even the scraps, we have our little bunting pieces here. I get really attached to clothes, and I think once you have even changed a button, I've made clothes for my kids, and I've sort of passed on all the stuff that I bought, but the stuff that I made and mended, I just have to keep. So
it's
I love
hard, isn't it? Yeah.
I love that emotional connection that you create when you just put a tiny stitch in something. And so that unique quality of mending is I'm really attached to, and specifically visible mending.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that we're launching more, and I'm encouraging people to do more when they come in the shop for mending, is actually do something that's going to show that you can turn it into a completely unique garment.
Yeah. I often think of it in terms of almost like a spectrum, from completely invisible, you never even knew that a needle had been near it, or right until a bold shouting out celebration, and kind of everywhere in between, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you can pick which method is going to be better for your personal style, but also for the purpose of that garment as well,
Absolutely,
isn't it? Because
yeah.
visible mending is not necessarily going to be suitable for something if you work in an office, possibly.
Absolutely, yeah.
But if you're knocking around at home or you're going out and about, then why not? Yeah, like have more creative fun as well.
Of course, absolutely. Not everyone's going to want to do that, and I think people are now that they know what we do, people are now shopping specifically knowing, oh well, actually I'll buy that because, or if it's they're buying second hand, because I know I can bring it to Dolly and have it shortened or cinched in or whatever. So it's a lovely add-on as well for all those places like Depop and Vintage. People can, because obviously nothing's going to fit perfectly if there's only one size to choose from.
You can't even try it on, can you, if you're buying it online?
So I think that's another place that we're really thriving and supporting that sort of whole recycling and sort of using second-hand clothes as well. So it's a great partnership.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So what's your hopes for today for this event?
Just getting people sewing and just to realise the power of a needle and thread. Yeah. And also how powerful it can be for the environment, but also for your sort of well-being, because sewing is it's so good for you. It's just the right amount of doing to allow you to sort of just be in your fingers, but you can still tick over your to-do list and your shopping list and whatever, and you can still talk. So it's so good for you, and it's absorbing. You can sort of be in a bubble with it and create something useful.
Yeah, and you're not on a screen.
Yeah, you're not on a screen. It's great. And the other thing that we're launching, which is really exciting, is that because there's only so many people we can serve in Lewes, so our alteration service is now available by post.
Nice.
So you can just fill in the form on our website and post your garment to us, and we'll send it back to you all lovely and done.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Do you have any message for anyone who's thinking about this?
Oh, if you can tie a shoelace, you can sew.
Oh, I like that.
I know. Anyone can do it.
Brilliant. Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Do you think you'll do more of these? I mean, obviously, the first
absolutely.
one hasn't finished yet. But...
Yeah, I mean, it's only April, so we've got the whole summer to sit outside and sew. So maybe we should make it a regular thing.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be
Saturday morning.
Yeah, it doesn't have to just be the Fashion Revolution week.
You're right.
Yeah. Oh,
watch this space.
Brilliant. Hi, what's your name?
Hi, Melissa.
Hello, Melissa, what are you doing?
I am fixing a hole in my sock.
And what technique are you using?
I'm using a felted patch with a blanket stitch round the outside.
It looks so cute, and you're making it into a very cute little flower with a little centre. When did you hear about this event, or did you know for a while? Because I just found out like 2 days ago.
I came across it on Instagram, probably about 2 days ago.
All right, there we go. Are you a fan of mending? Is it something that you do often?
Yes, probably in the last year or so I've started mending and trying not to buy new things.
So those things went hand in hand?
Yes,
Interesting. So what inspired you to start mending?
What inspired me? That's a very good question, isn't it? Probably just saving favourite clothes.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about how I could, keep them going. Started patching and started darning.
Brilliant. So did you already have the equipment, or did you have to gather your bits and bobs?
I think I had quite a lot of bits and bobs around. I'm a bit of a hoarder of arty, crafty stuff.
Right, okay.
So I had lots of bits and bobs. Or I've used old clothes to mend other clothes.
Right, so you've harvested
kids' clothes
bits and bobs.
or
So what other kind of crafty or arty disciplines do you indulge in?
All different sorts. So mixed media, printing, textile arts. So I've tried making clothes from scratch before, and I've never really got on with that very well. So I did come to dye here, and I did make a skirt actually, but I don't think that's so much for me.
So has how you acquire clothes changed in the last couple of years as well then?
Yes, I've been buying less clothes because I was quite a shopper before. So,
right.
Yeah.
So how did you kind of alter your habits then?
I suppose I've been changing over time. I started to buy more from charity shops. or on Vinted.
Yeah.
Places like that, and my children now do that as well, which I'm
cool.
really
How old are
pleased
your children?
about. 12 and 14.
Right.
So they shop on Vinted in charity shops. So yeah, that's good.
Is that
I'm
with,
really pleased.
Is that kind of motivated by kind of more eco-consciousness, or is that more like a budget thing, do you think?
For them, I think it's a money thing, because they want to save the money they've got, so they're quite happy to buy second hand. And it's probably, seeing that I'm buying second hand.
You've normalised it.
Yeah, they find it fine.
Cool. Have they been interested in mending as well? Is that something that you've seen them kind of clock?
Probably not yet. They'll probably wear mended things,
right,
like these socks I'm mending today. I think that's one of my daughter's socks.
Right.
So, yeah. So she'll be wearing that.
Sporting mending. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So what's been your most successful mend to date, would you say? What's been the thing that you've been really proud of?
I've got a mend with me, but it's an ongoing mend.
Right.
So it's a long grey kind of cotton cardigan.
Yeah.
And I've had it for a long time. And I remember that I bought it when I went shopping with my mum, and I've lost my mum.
Aww.
So it's a really important piece of clothing to me.
Aww.
So I've tried to keep it going. So it's very patched.
Oh,
you can
lovely.
see it if you want.
Yes, please. So it's you're using patching to keep it going.
It had millions of tiny holes in the sleeves.
Oh,
so
cute!
I've started patching on the top, and then I learnt about under patching.
Yeah.
So I started doing those.
Amazing.
And I've just noticed how my mending has got better as I've been mending the
nice.
more and more holes. But it's got billions of holes in, so
how
it's an ongoing,
satisfying though.
it's an ongoing job.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, thank you for showing me that.
Yeah.
My stuff. It's quite empowering, isn't it?
It really is. So tell me what you're up to. Can you introduce yourself and tell me what you're up to?
Yeah, so my name is Mika, and I'm a regenerative business specialist.
Ooh.
So
what does that mean?
It's basically new language for a sustainability consultant.
Right.
So we've hit 1.5 degrees, we've breached a lot of our planetary boundaries, and my feeling is we can't really talk about sustaining anything anymore. We need to regenerate.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to change the language I use around that.
Interesting.
And my day job is that I work with businesses, and so I help them become more sustainable, and I push them to use their power and their voice. And I know Diana personally and professionally, and we come together to do activism projects like this.
Awesome.
Yeah, I started my career in fashion, so that's kind of where I actually became an activist and learnt about the environmental footprint of the fashion industry. And while my career has expanded to include other industries, I've remained an ethical fashion activist.
Right. So what does that mean for how you choose to clothe yourself?
Well, in 2013 I did a fashion fast, which means I went for a whole year without buying hardly anything new. It felt like I just deprogrammed my brain. Turns out I don't need new things. I have clothes. I have so many clothes. We have enough clothes on the planet right now to clothe the next 6 generations. No one needs to buy anything brand new.
Yes.
And, Di and I also host clothes swaps, and, that's part of our activism work. So clothes are just around. I love going to a charity shop, but me and my friends swap clothes. I got these socks that I'm mending now. I got them at a clothes swap.
They're gorgeous. Are they hand knit?
They look handmade.
They do, don't they? They're stunning.
Yeah. Anyway, I just, it's unbelievable how people decide on the value of a garment. So that's kind of what me and Di do together. We try and shift people's concept of where the value is. So in her shop, you'll see this oversized poster that looks like a tag, like a price tag that you might see on a garment. And we made that, and it's called the True Cost Tag. And on it, you'll see what a garment actually costs in earth resources,
right?
In
I'll
water,
take a photo now.
in CO2, in human dignity, because the imprint on people across the world, it's staggering, it's phenomenal, and there's just not enough information out there for people to make informed choices.
So what's your hopes for this event?
To be honest, this event's already exceeded my hopes. I think it's been brilliant. So people have come together. We've been able to get a bit of attention just from passers-by, and everyone has exchanged hints and tips. We've even had people kind of getting excited and putting ideas together, like maybe we'll have a mending club, at a local pub. So I think it's been brilliant, and we've been able to make connections. We've been able to spread the word. I've had my little mini placards out because
I love your placards.
Unlike Di, I'm not a sewer. I'm here really to kind of push the activism angle, and so I think it's been a fantastic success. I'll be talking about this for the rest of the year for sure.
Oh, amazing. So what's your relationship with Mending then?
Well, I mean, because I know Di, she'll look at something and go, oh, you can just mend that. And to me, it is actually like magic. I remember the first thing she mended, there was a hole, and then there was no hole.
It's that simple.
Where'd it go? I know. And I just, for me, I just thought it felt really, really powerful. And that's Di's message, that I really love it when she says that, when she says there is so much power in a needle and thread. Because also you're doing it yourself. And there's just this feeling of actually I don't need anyone. I can do this.
It's amazing, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's sort of my relationship to it. And it's not like my hobby. It's not something I do for love and joy. But as a kind of resource, it is incredibly powerful,
Absolutely,
I think, and it really drives home my message. I'm all about degrowth, and I'm trying to get people to really investigate consumer culture and think, where does that come from? And I try to remind people that this whole concept of needing retail therapy, that's made up. Nobody wakes up needing retail therapy.
Yeah.
And that's
also,
a trick.
It's not therapy.
Yeah.
As well.
It's not therapy.
Therapy is therapy. Shopping is shopping.
Yeah.
And
then apparently you then need the whole therapeutic benefit of clearing everything out.
Well, this is it.
We've got too much shit.
We've now got into this kind of cycle, haven't we? Society's kind of perpetuating this cycle where there's all this stuff that you need to buy, this new thing, this is the trend, la la la, and then you're going to have this regular purge, and then go and buy the more stuff, and then have the purge, and it's I wonder who this is benefiting, because it's not us.
No,
it's
horrible. Definitely not us, exactly.
Yeah.
So that, I feel like we did that here today. We did a lot of that, and it was really nice as well that besides all of us sitting here, there were people who kind of just were walking by and just stopped and just tapped into the message and just was like, oh yeah, this is the thing you can do, and it looks pretty fun, looks pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's kind of normalising it, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people often have connections with mending, but maybe it's from a previous generation or something, isn't it? I think maybe they have memories of their mum mending something, or their nan, or something like that, or maybe their granddad in the shed mending something. It's something that for some people there's almost been a generational gap, and it's been something that's been lost.
Yeah.
So maybe even if people can connect with it, I remember so and so doing that. Maybe that's something that,
exactly. It's like a way to express yourself as well, because some of it, some of the visible mending that I see around is just cool. It's just gorgeous.
Yeah. So do you prefer visibly mended clothing or invisible, or it depends on that item?
Yeah, I think it depends on the item. So I just did this visible mending. So I've got these lovely little fingerless gloves, which actually somebody makes out of old jumpers. She cuts the sleeves off of jumpers that had it and makes these fingerless gloves. And I just learnt to darn just today. Someone here taught me how to darn, and I've chosen a different colour.
Nice.
So that you can see it.
Well, thank you so much for talking to me, and I hope that this is the first of many.
Yeah, I hope so too. We're full of ideas, and also, this was part of Fashion Revolution. So this was global.
Yes.
So,
and the street stitching as well.
Yeah. So at the same time that we're here, there are people all over the country, and actually all over the globe doing the same thing. So we definitely want to be part of that some more. That's a lovely feeling.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
What's your name?
Matthew.
How are you doing, Matthew?
I'm doing all right, thank you. Yeah, and you?
I'm really good, yes. So we're here. This is Mending in Public Day. It's a global endeavour for Fashion Revolution Week. And we are campaigning basically by showing that mending can happen. We can keep garments in use for longer, and clothing doesn't have to be disposable thing. Yeah. So what about yourself? Like when clothes get holes in or wear out, what do you do with your clothing?
I either continue wearing them with holes in.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or patch them up, or my dear wife patches them up for me.
Fantastic.
But frankly, I try and buy as few clothes as possible.
Yeah.
And I like stuff that lasts a long time, and I like things that I can wear forever. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So patching and mending is part of your household's ecosystem.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. In a limited way. I won't say we do. I don't say we darn every sock.
But you try and keep the things going for longer. If the bun falls off, it gets put back on.
Absolutely. No. I'm a firm believer that we all buy too much stuff, and clothes is part of that for sure.
Absolutely. It's such a damaging industry, isn't it?
It is. Huge amounts of energy and water and exploitation associated with it and stuff. No. I mean, for sure we should be.
And for yourself and your kind of like your friends or your kind of like colleagues or whatever, do you think that your approach to buying clothes and keeping them in use for longer is typical of the kind of the people that you hang out with, or is it something that you haven't really talked about with them before?
Good question. Certainly haven't spoken about it with them. I mean, I don't think we're older people. We're not exactly fast fashion people buying a new outfit for every Saturday night, so we're not doing that. So no, I think people are probably we're not a bunch of fashionistas that have to be seen to be wearing the latest stuff.
Clothing every day,
they do. So I guess the people I knock around with, by and large, they are limited in the amount they buy. I'm not sure they're sort of patching up and mending much, but I don't think they're equally. They're not buying vast amounts.
Yeah. That's good to know. Well, thank you ever so much, and thank you for your time.
Well, lovely endeavours.
I'm doing well. I'm so excited that I managed to get here.
I know, I'm so pleased to see you. Cool.
Oh, bless you, don't be silly. So how are you doing?
I'm all right. I'm really happy to be here. This is like everything, loads of social things, friends that I've known, friends that I'm making today.
Lovely.
And sewing in public, Zoe, sewing in public.
Yes.
Normalising sewing, normalising mending your clothes, normalising existing in the world as a load of middle-aged women. It's everything you could want in life, isn't it?
Yes. I love this so much. So you are local?
Yes, live in Lewes. I've moved here about 12 years ago, lived in Brighton for years, and originally grew up in the Midlands. So, but yeah, very much a Lewes local. Slightly weird town, but I love it and its weirdness.
Interesting. In what way weird?
Whatever you want to do, there is space to do it here.
Lovely.
And I like that. There are some things, every town's got its quirks. The thing I think about here is there's big community.
Nice. I love how wildly historic all the architecture is as well. But it's not like some towns where there's like a whole street of like Victorian cottages and a whole street of like Edwardian. It's almost like every house is different.
Every house is different. And I really like that it's fiercely independent, and the whole thing about the shops, although my current beef is, and this is about sustainability, is there's 4 bakeries in a 5-minute walk, hot topic, but there's nowhere to buy pants or socks. So you then into Brighton, or you're then on the internet. But it's the basics. The basics aren't catered for. But that's a very niche rant. Even I think that.
But then you have to travel.
Yes. Yeah. Or use different resources, which is fine.
That's a good point. So you are sitting here without any mending because
Zoe, I listened to your podcast and I signed up and did a winter of care and repair, and my mending pile has gone.
Oh my goodness!
It has completely transformed the way I do mending and repair. The minute something's got a gap, I just do it every week, have a little weekly slot. Not only is my mending done, my jewellery's been cleaned, my trainers have been in the wash, all my leather shoes and bags, they've all had, oil and moisturiser rubbed in them, and my house is cleaner as well. It was a general care and repair grabbed.
That sounds so good.
Yeah, but then there's obviously something a bit compulsive in my personality about that. But that's interesting, right?
That is interesting. So did you literally do an act of care or repair every day?
I approached it. So I didn't do something every day, but I had a mending pile, and you just start doing it. And what I thought is, do you know what? Why let's not start any new projects, Sarah, or anything new. Why don't you just tackle this? Because I didn't know how it would go, and then I kind of end up subdividing it. You're like, oh, I'll just do my husband's socks tonight. And that took a week because I don't know what men in their socks do. It's a mystery. But that was that. And then I was like, oh, and then there was some technical gear. And I was like, oh, I just did all of that together. And then you just find yourself doing it. And then at the weekend, my friend had said to me, oh, I bought a jewellery cleaning sugar machine, the ultrasound. And I was like, oh, okay. And
Can I play?
She said, do you want to borrow it? And I said, yeah. So she hadn't bought cleaner. She just used Water and Fairy. So I bought cleaner. So we've now got this deal that the cleaner and the thing live together, and it's at her house, and then if I need it, it's at my
fantastic.
house. So we're sharing resources.
I love that. Not everybody needs to own a jewellery cleaner.
Not everyone needs to own a jewellery cleaner. So the other thing, as well as part of this, the big win is I changed jobs. I had a bit of a lifestyle change and a good hard look at life and what I was doing, and it was great. But I've got a bit more time now, so I've become a member of the Lewes Library of Lending Things, where you can go and borrow things for free, although I'll make a monthly donation because nothing runs for free. But you go and borrow things. So I've borrowed a pasta maker. I've borrowed the big snippers to have a go at your hedge. All the stuff that you don't actually need to own.
Absolutely.
But you only twice a year.
Yeah.
And then as part of that, Lewes has a repair cafe.
Oh, where's the repair cafe?
Lewes Repair Cafe is the first Saturday of every month, and as in the community centre in Lamport, 2 till 5. You turn up, you put your chitty in. I think I've done 2 out of 3 this year. One month they had 8 sewers. They didn't need me. It was fine. And I turn up with my sewing machine, and there's a group of us. Some of them have been here today, and it's amazing. And you just repair people's clothes.
Wonderful.
And not do repair the clothes if you're that mind. I've helped people glue their shoes back together, and have I do it for cake. You always get a lovely bit of cake.
I would work for cake.
And it's just really, really nice. It's a little bit altruistic. There is a bit of giving back, but actually it's really just nice to go and meet loads of different people in the town and your community and see what repairs people bring in. There's a lot of zips, I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of zips. But
do you have to take supplies with you, like some spare bits of elastic or buttons or patching and things like that?
I didn't the first week. I just turned up with my machine and stuff and a few range of colours, and then the next week I have taken some supplies and I've restocked. It was a really good way to get rid of a load of scraps.
Yay!
I just gave them to the repair cafe.
Amazing.
And all the bits of...
No, please, take my scraps. You're welcome.
It's fine. There's a dry cleaners here. I picked up some dry cleaning. I was talking to him about it. And he said, oh, I've got a load of zips because our sewer left, and he gave me a massive bag of zips as a donation for the repair cafe.
Amazing.
What great. So I don't feel the need to take loads and loads of resources.
Right, they've got some.
Because there's got some. And what we normally say to people, if you want like a zip done or whatever, if you want something done, go to the shop and buy one and bring it back next month and we'll do it. So there is that. But yeah, no, it's great. I really love it.
Have you been here before, this place?
I popped in and had a look and thought, oh, I'm a sewer, the fabric's nice, but I don't need anything because, I've got...
Yeah. I want to be involved somehow, but I'm not quite sure right now.
But we've just had a chat today, and there's a lot of us interested in having a sewing social where we all just take along with our project. So I've said that I'll take on trying to organise that because Dolly's got enough on. Quite frankly, Diana's got enough trying to do everything. So I'm going to go. We've identified somewhere that we think will do it. So I'm going to go along and set that up, and hopefully we can all start and meet up and have a little chat every now and then while you're doing your sewing. So you're not in your house on your own, being annoyed by your family. You can be out with people. That's just me. My family are lovely. You can be out in public with other like-minded people and have a chat. But I listen to your podcast every month, and don't want to embarrass you or be too fangirlish. It's like you're in my head. All of the things it's like so the whole thing, the whole bit about sustainability and sewing and you've got to keep the politics in there. Mending is political. Being sustainable is political. You can't get away from it, and everyone's on their own path of that.
Yeah.
But we're in a society that is predicated on consumerism and growth and dopamine that you get from having the new, and we can't kind of go on like that. But also, I'm a human being. I've got stash that make me question my stash. I've not been brave enough to sign up to La Sewer Standing because I haven't quite gone through the pain barrier that you've gone of well, what if there isn't any more of that fabric ever? I'm not quite there yet, but I can see that it will become.
It's not compulsory.
No, I know it's not. But what's interesting is things that you talk about. It always makes me think about something.
Aww.
It always does, isn't it? And I fangirl. We're here today talking because I introduced myself at the Stitch Festival.
Yes,
but
I saw you there.
I was really. So I went there and I learnt a couple of new knitting skills.
Did you?
Yeah. So
did you do some of the workshops?
I did 2 of the workshops, and that was actually the main reason I went. Sorry, am I wanging on too
No,
long?
I was checking my battery levels.
Because I like knitting as well. So I went on a brioche course and an entrelac course, just about different knitting skills.
Yeah.
So I've tried to learn brioche from the internet. I couldn't. So
Yeah, you
somebody
wanted
went
to be
taught
with
me,
somebody,
and
yeah.
I've got it now. So that's my next thing. Really looking forward to doing that. And I can see that they were full. So people obviously want to learn that. So again, for me, there's something about, well, how do you do that in community? Because the internet can't teach you everything. It's good for a check-in, but you do need somebody to show you at the beginning.
Yeah, because different people learn in different ways, don't they?
So that was there was something there, and the teachers were brilliant, but there was an element of, you can buy my book, and I was like, okay. But then I think, well, actually, I work in an office to make money. I can't afford to make money from crafting because I'm not good enough. I haven't got the skills, or I'm not in a financial position that I would have to make my money that way. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But that's a bit, you always think, actually, this is your business, this is how you make your money. I completely get it. But again, all these thoughts turn around because you're then thinking about sewing and crafting in the round and as a whole experience, isn't it? Like, for me, it's my absolutely best and lovely hobby. And that's enough. That's absolutely enough. That's okay for me.
Absolutely, yeah. Not everyone has to start sewing for money or whatever.
Oh, so have this conversation then with you. How many times people are like, oh, you should sell that, and I just think, I've honed my answer down now, and I'm like,
what is your answer?
My answer is, this is my hobby. I do it because I love it, and I do it because it makes my head feel better, and I love creating, and yes, I have lovely things to wear and to show at the end of it, but it's my hobby. I don't go home. I work in like research management and admin. I don't go home and do that for my hobby. Oh, I'll just do some more costing and pricing, or some more ethics forms. This element of, and I think it's a male-female thing as well, nobody asks footballers to football for free.
No, exactly.
Or carpenters to but there's an element of, why do I do this for free, or why do I have to monetize every element of life? Why can't I just do that?
Totally. I often think that this analogy, like, nobody says to a guy that's going to go off fishing, no one says, oh, have you thought about selling those fish?
Yeah, nobody says
you
that.
Can sell those fish later.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah.
No one's thought that would be a thing.
Could you get some fish for me? Like, I've had this
you
on your
clearly
podcast.
love fishing. I'll have some fish. Go and get me some fish.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think I've heard this on your podcast, but I've had this conversation with pals. Like, why do you think I would want to repair anything for you?
Yeah.
Like,
I have enough ideas.
Like, what I lack is time. What I lack is time, not materials.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm
really,
just waiting to find something to do.
It's really bizarre. And then when you say to people, do you know what? I don't think I could knit your scarf in the time frame you want. That's normally how I get out of, would you do that for me? And they're like, they look hurt that I've not jumped at the idea to knit something for them.
So I'm looking at this jacket. I can see there's a very cool kind of contrast patch here. Is that something you added yourself?
Yeah, so this is a eBay vintage special. And I just customised it with a bit of leopard print from a jumpsuit I'd made.
Ah, cool.
So, I'm going out tonight. I've got my 80s shorts jumpsuit ready to wear that I'd made. And I might wear the jacket to go with it. There's an 80s night on, so we're all going to have big hair, and that'll be it.
Amazing. Brilliant. Thank you so much, Sarah.
No, that's fine.
So it's a few days after the event now, and I was only there for a couple of hours, but honestly, I'm still buzzing about it. So, like, rocking up to somewhere where you don't really know anyone can be a bit daunting and nerve-wracking, especially if you intend to shove your handheld recorder in a few faces. But everyone was really friendly and clearly just super happy to be there. Mercifully, the weather held out and it was a really lovely atmosphere. So yes, it was great that there was a nice group of similar-minded people to hang out with. And yes, it's cool that some garments no longer have holes in them that did have holes in the morning. But the most awesome and most powerful part was all the members of the public walking past and seeing what we were doing, you know. Some people stopped and watched for a bit. Some people had a chat about it. Some didn't really stop at all, but they saw us, you know. They saw that we were mending clothes. People of different ages, from different backgrounds, saw clothes being mended that day that wouldn't have seen that without this event. So I am now fully obsessed with the idea of mending in public. And not just in groups of chatty, friendly people at organised events like the one on Saturday, but at random times and in random places where other people just might be. So my new commitment to mending in public is all about my attempt to normalise garment repair. But full transparency, it's also because I actually want to get on top of my mending like Sarah has. But this whole idea has actually really reminded me of the conversation that I had with Louisa Owen-Sonstrom about hand stitching for episode 15. So Louisa was acknowledging that yes, it definitely takes longer to stitch a seam by hand than by machine. But hand stitching can be done in lots of locations, unlike using a sewing machine. So I'm going to get on top of things and take with me mending that can be done by hand whenever I get the opportunity. Basically, whenever I think I might get a chance to sit and stitch at some point throughout the day. And relating back to last week's episode with Gina Wigger for episode 132, I've now sorted myself out a nice little out and about mending setup. So it's just a little zipped pouch with some needles, pins, thread and baby snips inside. And then I've put that inside a little drawstring bag that's also big enough to contain a garment or a few socks. So it's a really good size just to chuck in my backpack. In fact, on Sunday, the day after the Mending in Public event, I took it with me to the beach and the playground. I was taking my daughter to meet a friend of hers, so I patched a sock whilst I chatted with the other mum. So this is where you come in. I'd like to offer you up a challenge, in fact, to all the Check Your Thread listeners. If you haven't got something like this already, this week I challenge you to sort yourself out a little out and about mending kit. There's no need to buy anything new for this, of course. Just find some sort of little pouch or box or tin, a repurposed makeup case possibly, or even like a Ziploc bag, something that could contain some basic hand sewing equipment. And then find another bag or container that will fit that in, plus 1 or 2 garments that need mending. So if you're an Instagram user, I'd recommend checking out the hashtag Mending Kit. It's really great to see the wide range of kits that people have put together, like right from beautiful and elaborate to really incredibly basic. But don't think that yours has to be a thing of beauty. I just suggest that as an additional motivator. So that's my challenge for you this week, lovely listener. If you don't already have one, make a Mending in Public kit. And if you wish, you can take a photo of it and send it to me, either by email, zoe@checkyourthread.com, or tag me on Instagram @checkyourthread. I cannot wait to see your Mending in Public kits. Thanks so much for listening. I really hope you enjoyed this episode and are left feeling inspired. For more info about the podcast, including show notes for this and every episode, head to checkyourthread.com. I'd love to hear from you, so if you have any comments, questions or ideas for future episodes, please get in touch by emailing zoe@checkyourthread.com or find me on Instagram @checkyourthread. Massive thanks to Patrick Potter for production support, to Sylvia Seller for the awesome logo design, and to Simon at Palm Skin Productions for the music. This ad-free podcast would not be possible without listener support, so if you feel you are able, please consider signing up to the Check Your Thread Patreon. For the equivalent of buying me a coffee each month, you'll be making it possible to continue producing regular episodes. Links can be found in the show notes and on the website checkyourthread.com. I hope you'll listen again next week. Until then, take care. Bye!